Welcome to FRCMO. I'm your host, Melanie Chance, and today we have John James. He is the former lead singer of the Newsboys. John James, thank you so much for joining me.
G'day, mate. It's great to be here.
Yes, and he has been with us all weekend. He is actually joined with his wife, Tanya, which I actually was calling her Tanya all weekend until you call her Tanya sometimes.
I'm sorry. It's the accent.
Yes, which he has a really cool accent. So.
Mexico.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
No, it's not. But I always joke with folks and let them know. I say it just to see how long I can get away with that if they actually believe me.
Oh, okay. Yes. So how have you enjoyed Stockton, Missouri?
It's been great. It's my first time that Tanya and I have been together here as a couple, but apparently history says that like over 23 years ago that we came here, or even longer, I forget how many years, a long time, in the early days of the Newsboys.
Yeah.
And we've actually been here 3 times, way back in the early days. So it's pretty cool to see years later coming back here and connecting with people that were actually involved with bringing us in way back then. It's pretty amazing.
You know, and rumor has it that you used to have hair.
A long time ago, I did. I think actually when the Newsboys came here for the first time, I technically did have hair.
Yes.
So what are you saying, Melanie? What's the problem now?
I don't know, but regardless, we have enjoyed you all weekend. You have really impacted some lives here. So we started out Friday night, and we had some. You spoke at Stockton Assembly,
Yes,
and we heard from your wife, and you're definitely going to want to follow our YouTube channel because we are going to hear from Tanya next, which you can't see, but Tanya's actually in the room. Tanya, see?
Tanya.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I apologize. So, and then you shared a little bit of your story. So, do you want to share a little, just bits and pieces right now, how the last, just transitioning from the Newsboys and how that's impacted you and kind of what life is doing right now and what you and your wife are doing, because is it 42 weeks out of the year?
Yeah, who's counting? 40, 45, 46.
Yes.
We're really blessed to be doing what we're doing, but we do travel a lot. It's pretty tiring and exhausting, but we love it and we're so thankful. But, you're right. I was with the Newsboys as, from day one, as the original lead singer and co-founder. And you spend such a large part of your life with these guys like brothers, over 16 years, and going from a garage on the Sunshine Coast in Mooloolaba, annoying the heck out of the neighbours, to eventually one day down the road filling the biggest arenas in this nation. And when it all came to an end for me in such a tragic and difficult way, there was a real difficult season for me, because I think after all those years, I came to the shocking realization when it abruptly ended, that my whole sense of validation, my whole sense of worth, my whole identity was wrapped up in the persona of who I was in the Newsboys.
Yes.
And now that was taken from me, now that I lost that, man, I lost my identity. And it's a scary place to be in life, where later in life you find yourself dealing with, who am I?
Yes.
And it was a really difficult journey, and because of wrong choices I made in my life, and I don't sugarcoat it, sinful choices I made in my life, I shipwrecked my first marriage, and the consequences of that, I lost my first marriage, my family, my career, and man, you talk about being in a place in life where you feel like life's over.
Yes.
You're done. And I'm only here today not because I feel like, hey, welcome, John James. Let me give you 6 steps to be blessed and prosperous in life. Some people might look at me today in America and think, because of the mistakes I've made, my first marriage shipwrecked, the loss of my ministry career, there may be folks that look at me and think, well, you've forfeited the right ever to be a role model and a public figure on stage with a mic, and because you've done this. And sometimes there are, I guess, a lot of people that are willing to pick up the stones and throw them, and they may be right, but 17 years ago, when I went back to Australia and I was in Australia, it's like God, for whatever reason, chose to breathe over my life again, and He drew me to a place of brokenness and restoration, and He decided, I'm not finished with you, John James. I still want to use you. I still want to speak through you. Now, keep in mind, you got a lot more scars. You've been beat up a lot more, man. You walk with a limp, figuratively speaking, but I'm still going to use you. And coming to terms with that is quite a surreal experience and journey. Because I look at it like, man, if I was God, I would have given up on me long ago. If I was God, I'm the most unworthy candidate. But doesn't that really typify the gospel message?
Yes.
That the goodness, the grace, the forgiveness, the compassion, the mercy of God never has and is never dependent on us, how good we are, how worthy we are, how holy, how righteous. It is all because of God and what He has done. If there is a sense of righteousness and holiness now, it's only because of Christ in me and Christ living in and through me. And so I've been on this incredible journey, not only of healing and restoration, but, my wildest dreams, God brought me back to America as a missionary. Who would have figured that? All these years later, I left the Newsboys and went back to Australia for many years, and I thought it was game over. And yet God had another plan.
And when did you come back to America?
Are we talking legally or illegally? Edit.
No, that part we want to keep. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, now we're getting to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
Yeah. I had done several trips back. I guess the sense of God calling me back to America was a wrestle and a journey. Maybe there was one side of me that secretly longed to come back. Maybe at the same time there was another part of me that dreaded coming back. But after a long journey, I started coming back officially, and I got my visas and green card to come back after a long journey in 14,
Yes.
where I've been back in the US permanently since 14, and really just stepping out, I guess, in faith again. It's not like I come back with this huge support system and structure and ministry and bookings and events. Man, I came back again with nothing.
Yeah.
But I stepped out in faith and started this incredible journey of coming back to America again as a missionary. But coming back, when I first came back in 14, as a speaker and going into public schools and then into recovery addiction clinics and stuff. But music was never ever part of that. The first time I came as a preacher of the gospel with the band, but as a newsboy with the music. So when I came back the second time, music had nothing to do with that. And as far as I was concerned, I never ever wanted music to be a part of that. Right. I would have been happy to go to my grave and after the Newsboys and never have sung a song ever again. It's kind of like, even I said to the Lord, here I am. If you want to use me, Lord. I'll do anything for you. But don't ever ask me to sing again, because I will never, ever, ever do that.
And now you sing again.
Go figure that, mate. Yeah. It's been how many years, Dale? 17 years? 18 years? A long time.
Yeah.
27 years, since I left the band. 27 years. And I haven't sung a note, didn't play an instrument, write a song, nothing. And just over a year ago, God kind of came like a tsunami and really began this journey of healing in that area of the music in my life, which...
Well, a journey of healing in all aspects of your life. And one thing that I appreciate about you that I feel like that many can relate to, I know as being an adult woman, that you and Tanya both speak about, but that I appreciate is you don't hide about depression and oppression. I mean, that's part
Yeah.
of what you talk about, where I feel like somebody, celebrities who've won Grammys and who've sang in front of hundreds of thousands of people, they have to put on this persona that, oh, everything's great and,
Yeah.
oh, wholesome. And
Especially in the church or in the Christian music industry.
right.
Because there is the pressure of the persona of the role model.
Yes.
As a leader, and I understand the importance of the authenticity in that, but we feel this incredible pressure. I love my beautiful wife, Tanya. She speaks about, when she was going through one of the most difficult seasons in her life where you're just hurting, and you can walk into a church and people greet you, how you doing today? And you're like, oh, fantastic, thank you. But she says, I was far from okay.
Yeah.
I was hurting and wounded and broken and angry, but we feel the pressure that I got to keep up the appearance.
That's
and we're
exactly right.
Christians now. Isn't life meant to be perfect?
Yeah.
I follow Jesus now. Isn't my life now meant to be a fairy tale that we never know pain, grief,
Yes.
persecution, hurt? We never know what it is to be wounded or scarred. It's ridiculous. And that sort of culture sets people up for such failure.
Yes, it does.
And to feel like they're ostracized. And of course, people feel like they're outcast and lepers,
Yes.
figuratively speaking.
Yeah. So what I've learned about you, the little bit that I've been able to hang out with you guys this weekend, is you're huge, and I want everybody to know this about the James family, is they are huge on mental health, and I think that is so great, because we talked about this when I picked you guys up from the airport. It's an epidemic.
Yeah.
Mental health is an epidemic, and they are going into prisons. I chuckle about this because I don't know that I could do it. But you guys went into a maximum.
Our first maximum security prison in Florida. But hey, I appreciate the kind affirmation, but it's probably one of the scariest things I've done.
Yes.
I remember going in there, and the whole environment, the security protocol, and going through the different layers of security. It's just the atmosphere and the environment is so intimidating. The atmosphere in these facilities, it is so literally so heavy. You can feel the oppression, the depression, the weight of it. I was nervous as anything, but I think I was even more nervous because I had my wife with me.
Sure.
And Tanya was going in it, and it didn't exude confidence, especially when they gave us these emergency buzzers that we had to wear. Like, what's this for? Oh, you press that if there's a problem, and hopefully security guards will run and get to you in time. I'm thinking, oh, crikey, Lord. And I'm trying to keep a brave face for my wife. But on the inside, man, I was pretty nervous.
Sure.
But in hindsight, looking back, and Tanya would also tell you, it's probably one of the most incredible experiences ministry-wise that we've ever done. It's like God showed up in that chapel service.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with how incredible we are, the Jameses, and our amazing motivational program. God showed up, and when we were in that chapel room with about 120, 140 guys, their passion and enthusiasm and zeal and love for the Lord was overwhelming. They were more passionate and fervent. They were more free for the Lord than a lot of churches we walk into and people sitting in the pews every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think why, you look at these guys that are in there. There was one guy that was in there, he'd been incarcerated for 41 years. Their lives have been taken from them.
Yeah.
Their families, their marriages, their children, their identity, their worth, their value, everything has been taken from them. And all they have now is Jesus.
Yes.
But they don't walk as if, poor me, I only have Jesus. Jesus is their everything.
Yeah.
And their passion and their love. Tanya will tell you, when she was, doing worship, it was just her on this keyboard and a little PA. Man, they drowned her out. Their enthusiasm and joy were drowning my wife out as she was leading them in worship. And to see the altar call ministry of these big, burly guys, You know, some of them you'd be scared, senseless to be caught on the same street with them after 6 p.m. at night. These big guys on the altar just weeping.
Yeah.
It's like, it was incredible. But isn't that the power of the presence of
Yes.
God? The power of this man called Jesus that can walk into the midst of the prison cells with the broken, the most desperate, the most violent, the most destitute, and he comes to set the captives free.
I think that's amazing.
And in these prisons, locked away some of these guys for life, and at times they're more freer than most people
Yes.
sitting in church today.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you all take your ministry so important. I mean, you're gone so many, and I understand you're like, well, just don't praise me about it. This is what God's doing in our lives. But that's exactly what he's doing in your life. You take, you talk about your depression that you worked through.
Yeah.
And that journey, but you're sharing it with others.
Yeah.
And you're helping them get past theirs.
Yeah, the incredible journey, Tanya and I, we got married just over 6 years ago and started this incredible journey. And what I began to learn very quickly that the ministry now, God hasn't just called me, but he's called my wife.
Yes.
But he hasn't called Tanya to join the John James show.
Yes.
P.S. with Tanya, this tall, attractive blonde on my arm.
She is beautiful.
Yes, she is.
She's
I
gorgeous.
definitely, just so the listeners
Yes.
know and the folks viewing, I definitely married him way above my pay grade. I've married way up. But together, we have our individual, what God is doing in and through, but we complement each other with what he's doing through
you
both of us, of what we bring now. But it is difficult, like I said earlier, it's really exhausting. Ministry life can be really tiring, and we travel so much, and we have traveled so much, but what we're also learning, because we're all learning, we're all growing, is great lasting marriages just don't magically happen.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Sure.
And you can't just, well, we're busy for the Lord, I'll PS my marriage.
Yeah.
I made that mistake on my first marriage, and I lost my career, my marriage, I lost everything. And so Tanya and I are not only serving the Lord full time, but for us, probably one of the greatest testimonies isn't about what we say on stage or when lights, camera, action. Because, Melanie, to be honest, anyone can be great from a distance.
Yeah.
Anyone can put on a show and give a great TED talk, and if you have great platform craft, even move people emotionally, but the real validity of who we are as followers of Christ, as a couple, is when the cameras aren't on, when no one's around. Ask my wife what sort of husband I am.
Yeah.
Ask my wife, do I love and honor and cherish her and make her feel safe, make her feel heard, make her feel validated and appreciated? And I think for me as the man and the leader of our home, it's not just to lead as a dictator or my home, my rules, but my job is, I've been given the greatest privilege of loving and cherishing my wife and being a part of releasing her into everything God's called her to be. And it's on a journey. I tell folks all the time, crikey, I got married late in life for a second time. I was 56 when we got married. I'm 61 now. And, by the time I'm 50, when you're in your 50s, you're pretty stuck in your ways. It's like, I know what I like, what I don't. You remember that old saying, Melanie, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yes, I do know that saying.
Now, that's well known in the world, but as a follower of Christ in the kingdom of God, that sort of thinking, rhetoric, ideology has no place.
Yeah.
Because we're always growing, we're always learning, we're always hopefully being changed into the image and likeness of Christ. So now that I've gotten married again, and I was a bachelor for a long time, I'm like, crikey, life isn't about me, myself, and I. Tanya hasn't come on board to be at my beck and service. She's not my mother now, that her job is to constantly, take care of me and pick up my dirty clothes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That she's not a slave she's fortunate now to be married to me in my home. And man, you talk about attitude adjustment.
Yes.
And, you know, learning what does it mean to husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church. So my wife and I, because we think, what's the point? And my wife always says, you know, you could have a hugely successful ministry, a hugely successful church as a pastor or a leader, and have a lousy marriage.
I
And
did
in
hear
this
her say that.
in this culture today, with social media and stuff blowing up, and you can have a huge ministry and at the same time have an absolutely lousy marriage. And my wife just says, you know, I refuse to be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we're perfect, but man, when we get up on stage and say, hey, there is hope, you can allow God, you know, it's like, you know, it has to infiltrate every area of your life, your marriage and everything. You know, my wife and I, and the listeners may be a little bit amazed, and I'm not embarrassed. You know, we're starting a whole session of marriage counselling for my wife and I. Not because, you know, we're both on the brink of leaving each other and, you know, where marriage is falling apart, but we want to have a great marriage.
Sure.
We want to grow, and sometimes, you know, being willing to do that so that we can lay the groundwork to have a great marriage. And I think so often we men are the worst. You know, I think we should go to marriage counsel. I'm like, what for? There's nothing wrong with it, you know. But we guys go into protect mode and, you know, oh, I'm fine, I don't need that. And then we worry, oh, what do people think? You know, we got this ministry and we go to church. And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, and we're getting to that, you know, we started and going and, you know, and I said to Tanya today, you know, which is really bizarre because I never ever thought I would say, and I'm like, man, I'm so excited about going because I want to have a great marriage.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be somebody, you know, if we're away at a church couples retreat and they take all the guys into one room and all the ladies in the other, total confidentiality. And they say to the men, all right, men, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate your marriage? And, you know, most of us guys, oh, yeah, 8.5 or maybe 9. And yeah. And then you ask the wife the same question and they're like, probably 2 on a good day. And it's like, whoa, wait a sec, you know what I mean? And sometimes we guys are absolute idiots.
Yeah.
And we're just,
you guys can be.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't. I didn't even know we were going to go that way in the conversation. But yeah, we're all on a journey of growing.
You're exactly right.
We're all on a journey of Christ changing us. But it can't just be, you know, in this part of our life. Holy Spirit, change us. Have access to every area of our lives. You know, I know Tanya's sitting in a room. There was a side of me, you know, whenever, you know, in the past talk about marriage counselling that, and I would always be so fearful. I wonder what she's going to tell the psychologist. You know, I wonder what she's going to tell the doctor. And I'd say, well, what are you going to say, Tanya? And, you know, it's kind of like, and I'd feel like I got to come in and micromanage her, and we have to protect the brand at all costs.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was in a past life, figuratively speaking, with the Newsboys, and it was the most incredible journey experience of my life. But we're in an environment, in an industry where it was always about protecting the brand, protecting the image, you know, protecting the perception of what people, you know, see in that. And it was like at any cost. Yeah. And wow, it's really interesting. You know, there's no place in that world to show areas where I am human and I'm struggling. Yeah. I am human and there's times I feel like giving up. You know, there's no place for that. We have to keep up the persona that we're perfect.
Wow. I mean, you've been able to strip it away though, and being able to
You know what? This conversation just came out this week, and I said to some folks, you know, because when I was in the music industry for so long, there's that constant pressure of controlling everything, from the visual, from the music, from the narrative, from the performance, from the meet and greet, but everything you're doing is controlling the product and what you are. And even though it's many years later, I think I look even now with the blessing of my new marriage with Tanya, there's part of me that still wants to control. And I've had to learn to let go and realizing my calling in life isn't to control and dictate and manage Tanya. And that, but that can be scary.
That's really deep.
That can be really
Yeah.
scary, yeah. Because it's really bizarre. Because for a long time, I thought, man, I'm not that deep. And sometimes it's easier on the surface to stay shallower, because sometimes when we start to go deeper, it can make us a little bit uncomfortable at the reality of what we're starting to see and address.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And this is why I feel like so many people can connect with you, John James.
Yeah.
Is because I said it off camera earlier, and I feel like your wife is so much more, but you guys do not sugarcoat anything. You are really who you are.
And I think we're really growing in that area,
Mm-hmm.
and Tanya's really helped me in that area. We both want to be authentic, but we're not going to sugarcoat it. And I think I've grown in that area because for a long time I would have been really fearful and intimidated, because I'll say it again, it's all about protecting the brand.
Yes, absolutely.
And to show vulnerability.
Yeah.
And oh, crikey,
But when you have so many people hurting, they need to know.
They need to know.
Well, and I appreciate you so much getting on camera with me and doing this podcast with me. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but I know you're exhausted, and I know.
No, the coffee kicked in, and I'm pretty awake now. I feel like I need to get at least 10,000 more words out. But I appreciate the time. This is a wonderful new season for Tanya and I with what we're doing. Not only with the miracle of the music, I never thought possible for me. The release of the brand new album soon. We just signed with a record label, and I have no idea what God is going to do with the music, but hey, Lord, whatever you're wanting to do, so be it. Have your way.
Yes.
Excited for my music. I'm excited for Tanya's album.
Oh, yeah.
We actually wrote an album together. That is so cool. I did the music, which is bizarre again, and I would give the song to Tanya. We did it from the book of Psalms. It's all out of the Psalms.
Nice.
So Tanya would hear the song. Okay, Lord, what psalm is this? And so she'd put the psalm, literally straight scripture, to that song, and it was really difficult, to sing, but to work that out. And we're looking, hopefully, very soon to be able to have the resources and the funds to get in the studio and finish that album, and hopefully have that out this year. Tanya's also looking; she wants to write a book of her journey, and that is one of the goals that we have this year, to focus on getting Tanya's book done and out. I also have a book with a publishing company that's released February the 16th of my whole story at the Newsboys. Yes, next year that should be out then. I just released my children's book that we actually had here for sale, literally this weekend.
And what is it called?
Billabong Creek Adventures.
Okay. And where can everybody find that book?
At Billabong Creek in Australia.
Okay.
No, it is on Amazon. We just have it there. But Billabong Creek Adventures, The Lost Emu Egg.
Yes.
And we have that, and we're also in the process. A little while ago, the 700 Club did a special on my story and testimony.
And it's very good.
And it's great. But that video, that 700 Club, has got in front of different people that were so touched. We're in negotiations now, looking to make it a full feature movie.
That is gonna be awesome.
That's pretty bizarre, but I don't know. It's a really exciting season for Tanya and I, and in our wildest dreams, we never thought God. I never ceased to be amazed how God has used a turkey like me in the past. And he continues to use one. I'm excited, even though I'm still so nervous about the music. I'm excited about that and doing the music, and I'm excited about what the Lord's called my wife and I to do. I'm a blessed man.
Absolutely. And before we end this, I want to make sure that everybody knows you can go to Amazon to buy the children's book. Yeah. His book will be releasing February 16th of 2026. If anybody of course, you can always Google John James. If they want to, you have music, anything else that they can go to a
We
website or
can,
anything?
we can. We're in the process of working with some wonderful folks. We are totally redoing our website and all of that social media side of it. But you can go to, it is up. It is iReach USA. The letter I, REACH, USA.com.
iReach.
Do you need to translate that?
iReach. Is that what it is?
You're telling the story.
Okay.
Yes, iReachUSA.com.
iReachUSA.com.
Yeah, and
All
it has
right.
the information there, what we do, whether it's in schools or in addiction recovery or with the military
Yes.
and stuff. And yeah, you
Yeah.
can get in contact with us through that. And I just let folks know, hey, you know, Tanya and I are missionaries to America.
Awesome.
We're called to reach America for the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's amazing. Hey, John James, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, mate. It's good to
Yes.
be in the outback of Missouri.
Yes, awesome. Hey, thank you for joining us today, and everybody be blessed.